Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing fine tonight. Hey, just want to kind of get with everybody tonight. Again, we're going through Holy Week and just some of the stuff that Jesus went through and what this week entailed. Um, One of the things we want to cover tonight is the Olivet discourse. And if you know anything about that, there are weeks and weeks and months of sermons you can do on the Olivet discourse. Trying to cover it in a 5 or 10 minute talk is next to impossible. So I'm going to kind of jump through it and try to explain a few things in it and just see what you think. The Olivet Discourse happened on the Mount of Olives, and it happened during Holy Week. And Jesus' disciples were talking to him about the future, the destruction of Jerusalem, end times, second coming. And they asked him three questions. They said, when will this happen? What's the sign of your coming? And what are the sign of the end of the age? Well, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat too, guys, so bear with me. Number one was the question, when will this happen? And Jesus gave some telltale signs. He says, I tell you, you will not see me again until you see you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. This was already after Palm Sunday when the Jews already said that. So couldn't have been that. And what's happening with this is when Jesus comes back, Jerusalem's going to be under attack. And it's going to be devastating, and the only thing that's going to save them is for him to come back. And this is toward the end of the Revelation, and it's going to be, the Jews are finally going to turn and say, you are the Messiah, and they will be saying, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That's one of the signs. Some other things that are going to happen that is great deception. And we're starting to see this now. Actually, not starting to see it, it's been happening, but the deceptions are getting greater and greater. I mean, you can't trust the media right now. You can't trust the government. Social media is all over the place. You can't trust anybody on social media. And even good friends, because the deception out there is so great right now. You've got to know the Word to get through this, and especially after the rapture, which is something else we're going to talk about here in a minute too. One of the things, look at just the deception of, men will call good evil and evil good. And there's also another sermon series on why it's in that order. But calling good evil. And I don't know your stance on abortion. I really don't care about your stance on abortion. I'm going to tell you mine. I think abortion is wrong. We don't use it as to save a mother's life. We use it as birth control. And that's one of the signs that a nation is in a downfall. When Israel was in their downfalls, one of the things they were doing was child sacrifice, and they called it passing the child through the fire. Our abortions are nothing less than that. And the Israelites did thousands, hundreds of thousands. We've done millions. We have judgment coming our way, and I'm a firm believer we are right in the middle of that judgment right now. And is there a way out of it? I don't think so. But that's all right. These things are supposed to happen. Keep looking up. Another thing that's supposed to be a sign of the times, persecution, death for believers. And this is also happening now quite a bit. I mean, Christians are the most persecuted group of people in the world right now. If you go worldwide, Christians are dying all over Asia, Africa. It's really intense in a lot of areas. We're blessed in this country right now. We're not facing that right now. However, we are starting to see the persecution happen. If I remember right, there's a teacher in California just this week that was turned down for a job, and the people doing the hiring at the school said, do not hire Christians. They're counterproductive to the curriculum we want to teach. So persecution is beginning to happen here in the United States. Also, it's been happening. It's just being more blatant now. Some of the other things you're going to see, wars and rumors of wars. Right now we have a war over in Ukraine. going on right now. That's the big one everybody's talking about. But there's also 28, I believe it was 28 the last count I got last week, countries that are at war, talking of war, or actually in civil war at this point in time. That's a lot of wars and rumors of them also. Plus we have a rumor that World War III is going to start, or it's already started. We don't know. So that's a big rumor of the war also. Excuse me. Famines and earthquakes in diverse places. You got to look at diverse places as, when this was written, Jerusalem's the center of the world. When it comes to the Bible, it is the center. If you want to look at the world as a clock, you know, you look at Israel as the hour hand, Jerusalem is the minute hand, and the Temple Mount is the second hand. You watch those three things when they're all lining up to midnight, we're there. And that's coming along too, but that's a whole other sermon series also. Those things right there happening are beginning of birth pangs. You know, there's going to be false prophets. Let me get something straight here too. And this goes with the don't be deceived. False prophets in front of the pulpit and behind the pulpit. So you've got to be careful who you're listening to. Again, know your word. Know what's going on. These things are coming, and they're coming hot and heavy right now. Increase in wickedness. Love will grow cold. Just watch your award shows on TV. What was it? Sam Smith was actually dancing around a Satan or whatever it was. I'm sorry, I did not watch it. I heard enough about it. I don't need to put those images in my head. I'm not watching that crap. You know, but these things are happening. Also, third temple will be built, because you have to have an abomination of desolation. That's another sermon series also. The third temple has to be built. And just so you know, I'm keeping up on this a little bit. The third temple, they have the plans drawn up already. They have all the implements ready. Word has it that the Jews have everything ready to go. They even know where the Ark of the Covenant is at, and when it's time, they're going to pull it out. The current government there right now is ready to start building it any time. They really don't care what anybody else says. They're getting ready to build their temple. If you know a little bit about this, also you know they need red heifers. They need a pure red heifer. There were 5 red heifers flown over from Texas last year. And if they're so far, last I heard, all 5 are okay. A few of them had a white hair on them, but the white hairs went away. So they are okay so far, last I heard, and that was about 2 weeks ago. And they are ready to do the sacrifice as soon as those heifers turn 2 years and 1 day old, if I'm thinking correctly. Another one of the things we're looking for too is many false Christs. Now that we haven't seen necessarily a whole lot of yet, but we have had a few, and they're starting to pop up in the woodwork. Doing a little bit of research on that. It's just something I wanted to mention here. Keep your eye out for that. And especially this is going to happen after the rapture. You're going to hear people say, Jesus is here, the Christ is here, the Christ is here. Hey, don't follow that stuff, because when he comes back that time, you're going to know he's coming back, and we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes. Some of the things, the signs of the rapture, no man knows the day or the hour. Only the Father knows. And that goes into a lot to do with the Jewish wedding and the steps of the Jewish wedding and the engagement, the betrothal period, and how the groom came to get his bride. Because it was a surprise when he came to get his bride. She didn't know the day or the hour, but she knew the season, which kind of tells me when you're watching all these signs that we're in the season right now. Personally, I think we're very, very close. I don't think we have many years left, and I'm hoping not. I have some personal reasons for that, but I also have a lot of background in studying this in eschatology since 1988. So I've got a pretty good background in it, and I have some pretty grounded theories on it. If you want to talk about it, give me a call sometime. We'll talk. Other things, it's also going to be like the days of Noah. Not to be confused with the second coming. The rapture is different. The days of Noah, they were eating, drinking, giving in marriage, and being married. Really, business was usual. So there really weren't a lot of signs other than the things to look for in an overall aspect of what was going on. And a lot of those were the signs we already went over for the second coming. Because you're going to see the prelude to those signs of the second coming for the rapture. And we're seeing all those things happen right now. The big sign of that was Israel became a nation. Nothing really mattered until Israel became a nation and got back in to their country. And that was back in 1948. And the Bible's really clear. The generation that sees these things happen will not pass. And a lot of people like to set dates on things. I'm not a date setter. But it does say the generation is 70 years, and due to strength, could be 80 years. Well, you have to have Daniel's 70th week in here, which that's another whole series on this. There's a whole lot packed in the Olivet discourse, folks. You know, that right there in and of itself puts 80 years as 2028. So we've got to look at some things here. These things are happening, and it's in a course of time. So, you know, we're watching what's going on. Like I said, Israel becoming a nation wasn't the super sign of everything that's going to happen. You know, and the other thing, too, is that the people that in Noah's day that didn't make it on the ark, you know, they saw him building the ark. They thought he's a crazy old man. They had no idea what was going on until the ark, God shut the door of the ark, and it started raining. Right now, you talk to people about the rapture and stuff like that. Believers are like, yeah. Non-believers are like, they've been saying that for years. It's not going to happen. Well, that's also a prophecy that one of the signs is scoffers at his second coming. So just be ready for that when you see that coming. See me looking away a little bit. Had to have notes on this to try to keep this semi-straight. When the rapture does happen, you're going to see one taken, one left. So it's one of those things where when it happens, people are going to go, and you're going to find out who the true believers are. You're going to have people back here that say, I'm a Christian, I didn't go. You're missing something. Hate to tell you, you missed something. You better go back and check what you believe and make sure. But now you've got to go through 7 years of really hell on earth, and the last 3.5 is the Great Tribulation. You're probably not going to survive. Just so you know. And one of the things is stay vigilant. Keep looking. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know, when your boss goes away at work, do you just stop working and goof off and do nothing, or do you stay busy? You know, good employees stay busy. Good people stay busy. If you're a person of integrity, you stay busy even though the boss is not there. That's what you need to do. You know, there's a parable here about the 10 virgins, and it's really about the church. That's my rendition of it, what I believe on it. It's about the church. And this goes back to false prophets and apostasy, and where 5 virgins were ready, 5 virgins weren't ready. But the virgins went to bang on the door and say, hey, let us into the wedding, the 5 unwise virgins. And God said, I never knew you. So they didn't have a relationship with him. So there's going to be a lot of people back here that say they're Christian, and they missed it. This is in the Olivet discourse also. So be ready for this. And I don't want to go signs of the end of the age. After these things, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light. Stars, and the heavens will fall, and stars can also be considered as angels. A third of the angels fell. They will fall from the sky, and heavenly bodies will be shaken. It kind of makes me think that some of the stars that are falling are angels, because it also then mentions heavenly bodies shaken. So I kind of think that they might be referring to the angels there. Signs of the Son of Man will come, and as lightning is shown from the east to the west, you'll see the sign of the Son of the Man. Now there's a couple different renditions of this. One says, as lightning strikes from the east to the west. Seeing that the sign of the Son of Man will be in the sky. And a couple of them, what I like to say is, as you can see the lightning in the east from the west, you'll be able to see the sign of the Son of Man. I don't know what that sign is. I've heard people say it's a giant cross in the sky. It's this, it's that. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you something I don't know, but there will be no doubt of what it is. And he's going to come riding in on a white horse with the armies of heaven behind him. So when he comes back, the rapture is the thing we don't know when it's going to happen. But when Jesus comes back at the second coming, there is no doubt what is going on. Absolutely no doubt. The skies are going to open up, and he's going to meet at Armageddon, and it's over then, folks. He's ruling. So, I just want to say, we're at the time right now before the rapture, and Jesus in Mark 13:37 said, "What I say to you, I say to everyone. Watch." Keep looking up. Hey, these signs are happening right now, and this is the first time in history they have all been lining up and happening. And I will say this, there's a lot of theories on 1,000 years is a day. There's a 1 week period of time. That's where the church gets a 6,000-year-old earth. And a lot of things are lining up date-wise for our generation. So no, I'm not setting a date and I'm not setting a time. I have my thoughts on that, but I choose to keep those to myself. Because right now, everybody who has set a date is batting 100% because they have all been wrong. I don't want to fall in that category. I'm just going to keep my nose to the plow and keep doing what God asked me to do. So remember, God is telling us what's coming. Friday's coming. And again, so is Sunday. And so are these events. And if you don't want to go through this really bad time, the Daniel 70th week, you need to get right with God. And it's not hard to do. All you have to do is ask Him for forgiveness of your sins and come into your heart and mean it. That's all you got to do. You're there. Then go find a good Bible-based church, get into the Word, and figure it out. Start reading it. This book is not so hard that you can't understand it. Trust me, if I can understand it, you guys can understand it. So, hey, we'll talk again tomorrow night. I love you guys. If you have questions, you're seeing me on Facebook, go ahead and hit me up. I'll do the very best I can to explain to you what needs to be done and what I think is happening. And that stands out for anybody, anywhere. I love y'all. When I say that, I mean it. I don't want anybody to go to hell. And I'm doing the best I can to spread the word about how soon I think His coming back is. So, hey, this Sunday, going to church on Easter Sunday is a great way to start. And I hope to see you there. I hope to talk to some of you. Hey, love y'all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.